you know, sometimes I buy things other than DVDs and Blu-rays, and it may be of interest to people still. So this time around, I'm going to show something that I used to have a huge CD collection, but unlike my habit, addiction, whatever you might say, to Blu-rays and DVDs, CDs, I was okay having them digitally. I guess because of things like, my iPad, or this little beauty here, where you can put all your music right on here. So you've got all your artists on here, and if you want to play something, you play it. By the way, this is my son's, but I like a lot of stuff on here too. So anyway, DVDs, CDs, Blu-rays, they're all entertainment. And CDs, I haven't had a lot of reason to buy CDs, but this right here, this bootleg series of Bob Dylan, has given me reasons to want to collect CDs rather than just get the digital copies, with some exceptions, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But here is something that gives you a collectible, rare, if you will, series of recordings and a booklet to go along with it. So first of all, let me slide out the goodies out of here, and then here is the case. Plain Jane. Not so the songs though, and I'm not going to read everything on here, but as you go down the line here, you'll start seeing things like The Times They Are Changing, Subterranean Homesick Blues, a little ditty called Like a Rolling Stone, Takes a Lot to Laugh, It Takes a Train to Cry, I Shall Be Released, Tangled Up in Blue, one of my favorites, Idiot Wind, Wallflower, which, by the way, Wallflower there from 11, number 16 there in the middle, 11/4/71 recording. That's where Bob Dylan's son got the name for his band, the Wallflowers. Go figure. That would be Jacob Dylan. If you see her, say hello. She might be in Tangiers. Yeah, just a lot of stuff on here that Blind Willie Mattel. Good stuff on here. These are all rare recordings. Many of them live. Not all of them, but many of them live. And just really pretty cool. So then you've got, let's go to the actual CD. Pretty cool stuff. Again, you've got the same kind of look on the back of the CD. Maybe a little easier to read, perhaps. All these are good songs, by the way. Dylan made a lot of good songs. And I'm a Dylan fan. Obviously, I wouldn't have these. But what's cool about these is that, sorry about that, I'm trying to open these up with one hand. Always difficult. What's cool about these is that you get really good quality bootlegs. Dylan was one of the most frequently bootlegged artists, I think, ever. It just, between him and the Grateful Dead, just a lot of bootlegs floating around. Here you get really high quality ones. And then, and this I think is what makes this a collectible item, as opposed to, makes all these collectible items, as opposed to simply having the disc with a box. Now you get a book that has in it information about each song, as in when it was recorded, who was on that track, and so on. You get a lot of rare pictures in here. 1981. And you get things like this. For Every Grain of Sand, the great song which concluded Shot of Love. Here is Dylan demoed it. It's one of the most moving lyrics Dylan ever wrote. One of the most moving lyrics Dylan's ever written. A self-portrait of isolation, even desolation, an admission of failure, and a lifelong attempt to coming to terms with what he calls the reality of man. Anyway, get the idea. Each one of these has its own write-up, some longer than others, pictures throughout, sometimes some lyrics thrown in there for jollies. Just really great stuff. So if you're a music fan, particularly a Bob Dylan fan, and why wouldn't you be? You might want to own some of these bootleg series, as they're called. I don't own all of them, and I'll tell you why as I get along here. I own number 10, but I bought that one digitally. Why? Well, because it costs a fortune to buy the thing. Otherwise, I think it's like $100. Most of these I picked up used for like $10. So I had them at FYE, and I got these. This one I think I picked up for like $15. 3 discs. Bootleg series numbers 1 through 3, rare and unreleased. Then I've got, so that's 1 through 3. Then it comes to number 4. Pardon me, when I pick up what I dropped here. Number 4 is legendary here. This is, in quotes, the Royal Albert Hall concert. It didn't take place at Royal Albert Hall. Was it like some free hall, though? Let's see on the back here. La 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 la. Well, this is the famous one where, in the middle of his performance, someone yelled out Judas, because the first set was all acoustic, and it's a beautiful set. And you recognize some of those songs, probably, if you're a Dylan fan. And the second set was all electric, including an electrifying version of Like a Rolling Stone to close this out. His backup band, the Hawks. Did you ever hear of them? Yeah, well, guess what they changed their name to? It was a little group called The Band. And yeah, it was actually recorded in Manchester, England. It's not the Royal Albert Hall concert. It's Manchester Free Hall is what it was. Isn't it, where this was recorded? But in any event, it's legendary. It's live. It's one of the most bootlegged recordings ever, and so quite appropriate for bootleg number 4. And of course, the pictures and so on in the book are all going to be from that particular. He yelled at the crowd, I think, at this point. Yeah, the crowd was not a big fan of Dylan's changeover. And so you get a lot of stuff from around that time period, including from that night in particular, when Dylan was booed. The hippie culture, the acoustic culture, whatever you want to call them, those that, the free love group, they turned on him like rats. Fucking rats. And Dylan didn't take the shit. He came right back at him. Dylan knew that the acoustic, that whole folk rock thing was dying. It was nearing an end. It was a time of Hendrix, man. It was a time of electricity. And Dylan was going to be part of it. And Dylan's sound, and he took off with it. You went from that acoustic guy, what a typical Columbia deal there. There's a picture coming out of, I think that's right after the concert. Anyway, that's number 4. Good stuff. Number 5, I'm a big fan of the Rolling Thunder Review. This is him in whiteface. If you ever have what's it called? Hard Rain. There's a documentary called Hard Rain, which I would love to have a copy of. I don't have it. I have bits and pieces of it. Anyway, it's a documentary that took place around 1975 in Dylan's tour, when he had the whiteface makeup, if you want to call it that, and the hat. And this is bootleg number 5. And just a real cool set. Now it's a combination of acoustic and electric. got some great songs on here, including one of my favorites, Hurricane. Story of Reuben Hurricane Carter is on here. Again, you get the, this is a 2-disc set, but you get the booklet with it. Get that out. So you get the CD itself. Very cool. 2 CD set, like it says. This one's in bright yellow. And then you've got the book and something else. Oh, a little special for you folks, huh? A bonus DVD. That's right, a bonus DVD comes with this one. I almost forgot. You've got audio only for Isis, but then you've got Isis and Tangled Up in Blue. Both pretty cool versions, and both on here. There's a little Dylan in the day. And then here's the booklet, Rolling Thunder Review. There's the front of it. A different Bob Dylan, huh? Different from what we'd seen just in the '67 acoustic concert. Looking a little bit, yeah. Players. Great stuff. That's number 6. Hold on. That's number 5. This is number 6. Yeah, what do you need?
I'm gonna hustle over and see if Mom needs any help.
See ya.
See ya.
This is Bob Dylan Live 64, Concert at Philharmonic Hall. This is going back pre-electric, so this is going to be all acoustic here. And you can see the songs that are on here. Who Killed Davy Moore is a classic. It's a story about boxing and sports in general. Great stuff about a boxer who's killed in the ring. The times we are changing. Yeah. It's all right, Mom, only bleeding. Mr. Tambourine Man, A Hard Rain's Gonna Fall. Don't think twice, it's all right. Great stuff here, right? With God on Our Side, All I Really Want to Do, and It Ain't Me, Babe. Some of these performed with Joan Baez, who was also on the Rolling Thunder, by the way. That's that one. Next is one that a lot of people say is not necessarily needed, but I think it's awesome. It's the Martin Scorsese picture. It's sort of the soundtrack from No Direction Home, which is a movie Martin Scorsese made, and very well worth watching, by the way. You can see some of the songs here. Slade is Euroland, which is obviously a tribute to Woody Guthrie. Man of Constant Sorrow, you may know that one. Blowing in the Wind. Masters of War is a good one. Hard Rain Gonna Fall. Chimes of Freedom, one of my favorite Dylan songs. Maggie's Farm. Look at all these. Just great stuff on here, Like a Rolling Stone. Stuck Inside a Mobile with the Memphis Blues again. A lot of great classics on here, and that is number 7. Now, 8 and 9 I don't own. 10 I own, but as I mentioned, I own it digitally only because it's too darn much money, and 11 just came out. 10 is another self-portrait, which is pretty good, and 11 just came out. I get the raw version, which is the 2-disc compilation of a legendary recording called the Basement Tapes, when Bob Dylan and the band got together right outside of Woodstock, New York, where Bob Dylan lived, and recorded these bootleg recordings that eventually came out in 1975 as the Basement Tapes. Well, this is a lot of the raw versions without all the overdubs. It should sound a lot cooler. I've listened to some of it. It sounds great. So anyway, there's a ton on here. And again, a booklet, just like there is in this one. But time precludes me or prohibits me from going into all of them. 56-page booklet here on this one, as there is here on this one. I think these are well worth owning. They're collectible, just like my CDs and Blu-rays, or CDs and, Blu-rays and DVDs, because of the material that's inside of them, because of the quality of the material, the rareness of the material, and these booklets. So great pieces here. Highly recommended if you're a Dylan fan. And if you want to see or hear anything on any of these, let me know. But otherwise, I recommend them. Take care.